Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great. You?
I'm good. It's great to see you.
Yeah, good
Thank
to
you
see
for agreeing to be interviewed, one of our session members and trustees, as we get to share this with our congregation in the midweek musings. So why don't we start with tell me your full name?
My name is Linda Marie Webster.
And is there any story behind your name?
I've never heard of anyway. I was just the youngest of three girls, and we all had simple names that didn't really demand a logical nickname.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I guess there isn't really a nickname for Linda
No.
that I know of. Oh, yeah. And where did you grow up, Linda?
Well, I was born in Buffalo, New York, and I lived there for 7 years, and then we moved to a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I spent 7 years there. And then moved again to outside of Hartford, Connecticut. So that's where I ended up graduating from high school. And then my parents moved again to Columbus, Ohio. And then I went to Ohio State. And then from
Right.
there, I started my adult life and moved a bit after that again.
Well, so they had really kind of a 7-year itch, it sounds like.
Yeah, just about. And my dad was not in the military. I always get that question.
Yeah.
He was in sales. So
Okay.
he always had a new sales territory to move into.
Well, that makes sense. Well, so then you graduated from OSU, and what kind of work did you do? I know you're retired now, but what kind of work, or where was a favorite job you had, or the last job you had?
Well, right out of college, I got recruited by Dow Chemical Corporation in Midland, Michigan. So I moved up there and I lived there for 17 years. And then the division I was working for um, was purchased by SC Johnson. And so they moved me to Racine, and that was in 1998. And because they kept all my service intact, I actually retired with 33 and a half years with one company.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time. What,
Yes.
what I know you have some chemistry background. What were you doing for SC Johnson specifically?
Well, yeah, I did graduate with a bachelor's in chemistry, and so my whole career was really in a technical field, our research and development and various aspects of that. And when I was at SC Johnson, I did a lot of project management as well as people management. And the people that worked for me were in the research and development areas.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your gifts, your things you like to do in your free time? I think a lot of us at Covenant know some of your hobbies, but tell us a little bit about some of the things you love to do in your free time.
Well, and I think what you're referring to is photography. So that was something that I actually took up in a pretty serious way in just about 2012. So it's a relatively new hobby, and I've dove directly into it and gotten some formal education as well as informal, and that's probably my number one hobby, and travel. And I like to combine both of them.
Yes, I count myself lucky to have an original Linda Webster uh, portrait on my wall in my study. So,
Isle Royal.
yes, the Isle Royal picture you took.
Yes.
It's really beautiful. So, when did you join Covenant, and why did you join Covenant?
Well, I joined I think it was May of 1999. So it's been over 21 years now.
Yeah.
And I was new in town and I was looking for a Presbyterian church because I had joined one in Midland and was, becoming more into formal church life, rather into my 30s, I would say. And so I started there. And actually, the very first one I went to was Covenant because being new in town, I could actually find 40 Ohio Street. That was before GPS. So
Oh,
I had
wow.
to use a little map, a real paper map, and found it. And so I went in the doors and I never left, never looked at another church after that.
Wow. What was it about covenant that kept you right away?
Well, for some of the people in our congregation will know that we used to have two services. One was at 8 o'clock and one was at 10. Well, I went to the 8 o'clock. And I was a little shocked because I was one of maybe 12 people in the sanctuary. And it was at first, a little unnerving because I had come from a very large Presbyterian church that probably had 1,500 members. So you could go in and you could hide. Well,
Hmm.
I was not hiding it. And I thought, well, this is not going to work. But then it was Pastor Bill Smoots at the time who came down the aisle during the Our Father, and he grabbed my hand and just said very quietly, "This is a tradition in our church." And he held my hand, and he made me feel very, very comfortable, as did everyone else there. And I thought, wow, it's like he sensed that I was a bit uncomfortable.
Hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
So here you've been for 21 years. Why is church important to you?
Well, it's definitely a place where I need the fellowship. I need the place is important. The people are the most important, and serving not only in formal committees but just learning to serve the community. With people and just feeling like there is a being there that fills all of us and keeps us all connected. And it's just a very meditative place for me, not only physically, but emotionally.
Mhm. And when are you most aware of God's presence?
Well, I feel God in a lot of places. I have to say that I have learned to be aware of the ways that the Holy Spirit moves within me and speaks to me. And it can be, I might be in the shower. I often get some wonderful thoughts that just come to me. In a dream, it might be when I'm sitting alone. I spend a lot of time up in my little nook upstairs where I read and meditate. But I think probably the one place that I get filled with the most awe is
Mhm.
why I'm hiking in nature. I mean, it is just an unbelievable feeling when you come upon a scene that you just know there is no other explanation than it is a creation of God.
Mhm. Yes, and your photography really brings out a lot of that. Seeing things in both the smallest details. You'll take
Yeah,
pictures of, really up close to something,
yeah,
and then these grand vistas too. And I agree that seeing God in all of those places, but being able to see God in very small places and in very large views. But that creation is certainly a great gift, which of course we know you have been a spearheader of our Caring for Creation Committee.
yeah.
So um, that's lived out into the service that you do for our church. Are there individuals who have had particular influence on your faith life?
Well, this was one question that I had to think about because for me, there isn't a single individual, but many.
Mm.
And I have to actually start with my parents. And I have an interesting kind of road to my faith. I grew up Catholic,
Mm.
and my father was actually not Catholic. He was Presbyterian, but he was a kind of non-practicing Presbyterian, and he only went to church with us on Christmas and Easter. I think they're called Creasters.
Yeah.
But he was very much a proponent of us girls being raised in the church. And so my mom wanted us to be raised in the Catholic Church. So we went to church every Sunday, went to catechism, and went through all the, I had to wear the black patent leather shoes with the white bobby socks and the hats. And it was like, that was fine when I was growing up, but then I got to be a teenager and it was like kind of, I started to rebel.
Mm.
And there was a long time that I didn't actually attend church or didn't feel like I needed church. And so when I look back, when I finally came back to that, I feel like the foundation that my parents had planted in me, even though I was rebellious a lot of the time about
Mhm.
it. There was a sense of peace and the belief, that faith that was planted in me, that came alive later, in when it, maybe in my adulthood, became important to me. So I think that was the first influence. And then I would say the wonderful pastors, every single one of them we have had at Covenant, like I said, starting with Bill Smoots and Mary Steege, and every pair that's come since then have been really a wonderful influence, teacher. I think our congregation as well, because I think one of the things I love about Covenant so much is that we can ask tough questions. We can speak our mind freely. We can express our doubts. And I don't feel like anyone is going to make me feel like I'm wrong,
Hmm.
or that they have the answer and I don't.
Yeah, it's a very welcoming group of people who I think enjoy asking questions together.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, my last question will be, do you have a favorite memory or activity at Covenant that you would share? Something you love to do at Covenant?
Well, you brought up the caring for creation. Just that the whole kind of path to that speaks, I think, a lot to our church and how open-minded. I mean, we started the seed of the idea, literally, and brought that forth, and really gained a lot of support from the congregation, and then session, and then we formed the committee, and we've been a very active committee for 3 years. And it's not as much about what is physically being done, but the process of the journey and trying to learn together. I didn't profess to be an expert in this at all. In fact, I am not, but I am learning a lot,
Mhm.
and I'm really enjoying the support that we've gotten from the entire congregation. And I
Yeah,
hope we can keep going for a long time and do lots more good things.
me too. Me too. It's been a really good group doing lots of innovative things, which has been fun to see. And I love to drive up to the church and see the gardens and just the different impact that the committee's had in just this short time. So thank you for your
Yeah.
work in that. And thank you for your time interviewing today. I really appreciate it. I know folks will enjoy getting to know you a little bit better this way and just get to see you and spend a little time with you during this um, COVID time apart.
Yeah.
So thank you for all of your service at Covenant and all you do. And thank you for this time.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Have a good day.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.